Yeah, now let's go back a little bit because I feel we brushed off too easily freestyle chess and what happened in Weisenhaus. Obviously, that was talk of the town for that particular week, and there were some scandals as well. I'm not sure if we're gonna get into it, but let's start with the chess. Now, obviously, two huge surprises: Keimer and Sindarov. They could have made it to the finals. But you did quite well also, and I would say obviously in during the first couple of days you did great. You qualified out of the top three. That was kind of the idea, so that you get to pick your opponent. How did you feel about your play in
Yeah, Rapid was
Weisenhaus?
overall good. I mean, definitely first day was good in Rapid. Second day was, I mean, again, my the bar for qualifying after the first day was at like even if I lose all my games, I probably make it. But yeah, I still I didn't play great in the second day, but it was like -1 and I was already +4. So not ideal, but nothing too bad. Although if I'd lost to Keimer in the last, then I wouldn't have because then I think maybe Magnus would surpass or no, maybe yeah, maybe Magnus would have surpassed me in score, and then I would get picked by someone rather than doing the picking. So in terms of yeah, that was fine. You know, the thing about the Rapid is the main goal there is just don't get eliminated. Like the last two
Right,
places got eliminated, and that's a very bad feeling.
right.
So everyone is more or less just saying, okay, get to the top eight. Of course, it's ideal to pick your opponent, but as we saw, it doesn't matter so much. I mean, you know, Ali Reza picked first. He picked Keimer, and Keimer won the whole thing. Um, I picked third. I picked Gukesh. I think I would have picked Gukesh no matter what. I wanted to play Gukesh.
He seems to be struggling, right? In freestyle. I don't know. It's a strange
Look,
feeling. Like obviously he's such a strong classical player. He's been showing it time and time. But in freestyle chess, it just doesn't seem like the patterns are clicking.
I don't know. I mean, I think okay, part of it was a bit bad luck that the first game, against me, it was a bit of a random affair, and I just took it at the last second. Basically, that had nothing to do with it being freestyle. It's just the game was out of control. Maybe the time control is not very suitable for him. I think he does benefit from having a second time control, so that once like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he does tend to do quite well in this time scramble phase if there's a second time control. But if it's an eternal time scramble phase, then it's actually an issue for him. But it's a bit odd. But I have observed this that time scramble phase, he's actually getting a lot of points there in classical chess events. But if there's no second time control, then at some point he messes it up. Why this is, I don't know. And this one had no second time control. So now, is freestyle the best format for him? I would probably say no. Like if you asked me, do I want to play him in a classical match, just normal chess from the normal starting position, or freestyle, which do I have better chances? I would say yeah, freestyle. I almost certainly have better chances. Part of this will be because probably his work ethic is quite enormous at the moment, as you would expect from a young guy who
Yep.
also is a
Yep.
world champion
Very
and
motivated.
has prepared for a very singular goal, in a very focused manner for the last 2 years. So this will help him in terms of his confidence in the openings, and also he generally seems to get good positions in the opening because he's well prepared. Now, if you take out that factor as an advantage, of course he's still a top player, but does he have that edge anymore over some other guys? Well, it does take a little bit away, right? It's incremental stuff. But every little bit counts. So definitely taking out the preparation, that's one of his advantages at the moment. And um, still, he could have won that match. He just had to win the first game. It's not like he was winning or anything, but he had good winning chances at some point in that game. Then he would be a favorite in the match. Then he plays Sindarov, and again, it's a whole other story maybe. Who knows? The issue with this tournament is that you are playing top players no matter where you look. You're either playing, he who did he play after he lost to me? He played Hikaru. And
Yes.
after he lost to
Yes.
Hikaru, he played Ali Reza.
Ali Reza. Yeah.
So no
No
matter
easy
where you look,
pickings.
you're playing top players.
No easy pickings.
Sindarov lost to me, and he's playing Magnus.
Yes.
It's it's just an unforgiving format. So
That's good, by the way.
on the other
That's a good
hand,
thing.
since he did do poorly in Rapid and did lose all his matches in Classical, and didn't win any games, it's hard for me to sugarcoat it very much. Just objectively. Obviously, he didn't have a good event. Um, but just to say that, you can have a bad event and still be a top player. It's one of those just very difficult tournaments. So you're not in perfect shape, and you have something like that where you play me, you lose, then you play Hikaru, who I think objectively was playing well there. I mean, he had a bad match against Sindarov, and then all this stuff was made about, he's saying he's retiring, but he did beat Noterbeck. He did beat Gukesh. No, sorry, he didn't beat Noter. Wait, who did he beat? No, he
He
did beat
did beat
Noterbeck anyway.
Nodirbek. Yeah, yeah. He did. He beat
And
Gukesh first.
yeah,
Then he
and then
beat
Noterbeck.
Nodirbek. Yes.
And he did well in the Rapid. And to me, it just seemed like he had a good event. Just he lost the first match, which was the most critical one, right? It's better to win the first match, lose the second, than lose the first match and win two more. That's just how it works, uh, for better or worse, right? But he still, I mean, Hikaru, like when I was thinking, who will I pick from the players, and of course I'm trying to maximize my chances, and the pool of possible players was Keimer, Noterbeck, uh, Gukesh, and Hikaru. This was the pool. So I was the third to pick. But anyway, I was thinking like what happens because I wasn't sure. I thought maybe Sindar would pick someone. Like I knew Sindar was not picking out Abdu Noterbeck for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Like just wouldn't that would
I
be
actually
crazy
thought he would be picking Gukesh.
that he would pick Gukesh. Well, yeah,
That's what I
that's the thing.
thought.
Like a
I
lot of
mean,
these young guys, they think okay, the older guys, they're old and washed up and so on and so forth. Which maybe is a fair assessment. But from my point of view, if I was saying who would I pick, Uh, and maybe now it would be a bit different because okay, Keimer did beat everyone, so maybe I have to reevaluate.
but
But
Kaimur
I
was
would
was
pick
picked by Ali
Gukesh.
Reza first. So
Yeah, and he's the lowest FIDE rated.
that
Probably
was a
Ali
normal
Reza
pick. In hindsight,
made a normal
obviously,
pick. Yeah.
it's a sick pick, but at the moment, it's the most normal pick. Like everybody was like,
Sure.
okay, Kaimur is going to get picked first.
That seemed very logical because he's the lowest rated. On the other hand, it did turn out that this was not the right pick, but hindsight is always much easier. I would have picked Gukesh no matter what, and that would have been my pick for sure. After that, I probably would have picked Vincent. And after that, I would have picked Noterbeck. And last, I would have picked Hikaru. Now, why is my pick like that? So Gukesh, I also just wanted to play him. I think it is kind of special to play the world champion. I thought this is not a pick I can ever regret. I'm going to play Gukesh. I will not regret picking him no matter what. I can lose against any of these players. I can beat any of these players, but um, but if I beat the world champion, that feels very nice. If I lose, anyway, it's not going to feel good to lose against any player. So that was my reasoning there. Vincent, of course, although he did win the event, we have to say he actually played perfectly. I mean, like
Insane,
probably the
absolutely insane.
probably the most high level chess in any like classical tournament in years. I mean, just like super super well. He beat Magnus having one bad position. He beat Ali Reza again, never tie breaks, having one bad position. Like for Magnus, it was one move. He was worse for one move. I think he was maybe losing for one move. For Alireza, he was significantly worse, close to losing for a little while. Against me, he was never worse. It was like never worse. He didn't have any worse position. Um, he he just kind of beat me in the first game, and in the second game, he up until he was totally safe. Uh, I think like Peter came up to me after the game and he was like, "Yeah, what can you do?" It's just it
He
was
played really well.
99.5% accuracy
He
for
played
the
really
first
well.
20 moves.
It was
So
one of
okay,
those tournaments where you just sort of everything goes your way and you kind of feel you're in flow mode, right? Like you feel the position. And I have to say, I was watching him on his confessions also. And he seemed to very well point out the problems of the position and very well understand the plans in each position, because this is the first task that you guys get whenever you see starting from move one. And he was very, very good, based on his confessions and obviously based on his games, at spotting the ideas, the main ideas of the position, and spotting the weaknesses in his opponent's position. So I think
Yeah, he just like came
he
to
did
the
very
truth of the
well.
position very quickly in
Yeah,
almost any position. So okay, in that sense, of course, Keimer looks like a poor choice, but he was the lowest rated, so it did make sense. On Noterbeck, I actually did think about it. Like, would I rather play Noterbeck or Hikaru? Noterbeck is a very hot player for sure recently. He's playing very well. He's like 2780,
super hot.
5,
Yeah,
I don't know, something like that. I wouldn't say that he okay, 2773. I wouldn't say that Hikaru has been clearly better than Noterbeck in classical chess in the last few years, or last, let's say, 2 years. I wouldn't say that. So it's not the reason why I would pick Noterbeck is because it does feel like he tends towards, giving you more chances because he plays a little bit, you could call it practically, but sometimes it does err on the side of superficiality, like a little bit bluffy in some ways. And Hikaru definitely plays just like what he views as correct chess. Just like, you know, he's not trying to bluff the opponent. Maybe that used to be Hikaru's style, but I wouldn't say that anymore. He doesn't try to bluff. He doesn't try to bullshit. He just tries to play whatever he thinks are the best moves, and the same as for example Gukesh or Magnus, right? There are players who are a bit more. I'll put pressure. I'll play fast. Maybe I'll make some mistakes. I'm also sometimes like that. Um, but I'd rather play fast and make mistakes and put pressure than try to play perfect chess. It's a matter of style. On the other hand, I felt that in Weisenhaus, it wasn't working well for him. Like he was playing a little bit too fast. He didn't have that kind of. Sometimes you can see this with Jan as well. He's that type of player, right? He can kind of maybe play a bit bluffy, but when it works, it's very effective. It's very scary. When it doesn't work, then that's kind of the opponent that you're happy to play against because like serious mistakes can creep in, and then it doesn't matter how much pressure he's putting on you. Like I've sometimes played Jan or Noterbreck, and I feel very much under pressure, enormous pressure. But once they make a game-ending mistake, it doesn't really matter anymore. So that was my assessment of him during that tournament.